Is this thing working? Are we live? It kind of looks like we're live. What's happening, everybody? Everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you are watching this. If you're new to the live show, welcome. This is my background noise generator. Typically, folks that are listening to this show are doing something far more important than whatever it is that I'm doing. It's typically guys that are mowing their yard or sitting around doing paperwork, and they just need something to fill the air around their ear holes while they're doing some task. My show's pretty much based around motorcycles, sometimes car stuff, but on open chats, you really never know what's going to come out of the bag. So basically, welcome to my background noise generator. So here's the thing. For the live show, a lot of times I'll use this platform to talk about different topics that I either can't put together correctly for a standalone video, or another thing that I'll do is I will talk about upcoming bikes that I'm going to be doing riding reviews on, things of that nature. So assuming that the live feed holds together, typically these shows will go on for around 30 minutes to 45 minutes. It used to be a 2-hour show, and it's no longer that. But in saying that, it's my opportunity to interact with you guys directly. Skids is first in. Got the ball guy with the flex and the specs. I like it. So I guess for me, this past week has been a lot of fun. I've been doing a lot of riding on my 636, some riding on the GSXR 1000, trying to get some content out there for you guys. A lot of ride along type stuff, which is what I really do like to do the most. And it kind of ties in with me doing some of the ride along videos. I'm trying to get some bikes queued up for next week. So we'll see how that works out. I'll start to pick bikes here on Tuesday. So we're going to try to throw some, kind of a diverse mix into the pot, if you will. So we can get into that a little bit too. Itch is in. What's up, man? RMAC is in. RMAC's smoking a brisket. I like it. I am jealous. Yours truly is on a diet right now. I'm trying to cut weight, and that is a real treat. Matter of fact, we're running a little bit late tonight because I was running a little bit late getting out of the gym. But unfortunately, my mobility is limited. I say it's limited. It's really not limited. I pretty much blew out my right knee. And so I can do certain things, and then certain things I cannot. So instead of doing the stepper, I've got to do an inclined treadmill. I can't really do any sprints anymore. So that's a real bummer. So anyway, I'm trying to get back into shape through that means, which is great. You ever injure yourself in a weird way? Like it doesn't hurt, feels like you just got shot. That's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. So anyway, lots of fun with that. But man, I'll tell you what, I would definitely mow through about half a brisket right now because I'm freaking starving. Anyway, so what else going on? So different bikes that are going to be coming up. Going to try to look at some touring bikes. So maybe an R18 or R16, sorry, the BMW, that inline 6-cylinder is on the docket. But I'm just kind of also going to throw in there a couple of other smaller bikes. Royal Enfield 650 Interceptor is probably going to get a little bit of love. What else? Who knows what else? There's all kinds of bikes that are in used inventory, so I can always pull from those. But as far as newer bikes, there's nothing really that's in inventory right now that I can pull from that I think you guys would be all that interested in, like except for the DRZ 400. But outside of that, I mean, we've done more of the cruisers. And here's the other thing. So I was working on maybe getting some more Harley Davidson content in here. But I got to say, unfortunately, the Harley Davidson content that I have put out hasn't really been all that well received. So I may just kind of stick with what is working and go from there. Armax asking, any word on that CF Moto ride along with that new dealership? I will be working with those guys next week. That's one of the stops that I'm going to be making. And if I can get my hands on one of the CF Motos, any of them, really, I'm going to be I'm going to be in a really good mood, because getting a chance to ride one of those bikes is a bit of a big deal for me. Mainly because it's it's a novel thing, right? I mean, look, that manufacturer in CF Moto is pretty unique in the motorcycling world, where they listen to what their their customers are asking. They're very engaged all the way across the board. You know, they're very much going to be represented at EICMA this year, and EICMA, as of the filming of this video, um, yeah, it's in 2 weeks basically. So there's a lot to look forward to. And I got to be honest, when it comes to these Chinese manufacturers, I'm almost more interested in what they're up to than the Japanese manufacturers, because you know, if you look around, there's nothing that just gets you really worked up right now, for me anyway. Okay, so think of it like this. You've got the you've got it, hold on, where's my list? Because I always get these manufacturers screwed up. So we've got CF Moto, NK, QJ are the main ones, and then you have the ZFRS or whatever it is. Where did I write that down? There's so many of them. That's one and a half reasons why I always have to write this stuff down. Anyway, there's a shopping list for you. The fact of the matter is that there are a hand. Oh, here we go. CF Moto, QJ, Voge, Voge. I think it's how you say it. Zontes, Cove, and ZXJC. You've got 6 manufacturers that are going to be showing up at EICMA from China. They're going to be bringing some pretty decent artillery to this fight. And look, say what you will about the Chinese manufacturers, but they're bringing to market a product that is going to get younger riders involved in, interested in motorcycles, where the Japanese simply aren't. The 675 SS from CF Moto is just that bike. And by the way, I have seen more CF Motos out and about than I really have, I think, noticed of late. Like I wouldn't maybe, excuse me, wasn't noticing them at first, but now that I'm starting to, maybe, you know, you see red car, right? You never notice red cars until somebody mentions them, and then you see them everywhere. I think it's like that with CF Moto. I'm seeing them more and more. And the 675 seems to be doing really well. And let's not forget that the end of Q3 for the year 2025 saw in the European market CF Moto right there in terms of total sales with Suzuki, with Yamaha. They're up there in some of the classes that they're selling motorcycles in. They're doing exceptionally well. We're seeing it here in the States. So no, they're not top of the podium in terms of performance, but you can only have 1 or 2 that are going to occupy that space. 3 if you're lucky. These motorcycles aren't meant for that. And that's one of the things that I like seeing, the type of bikes that are going to get guys interested. Okay, so full stop on that. But what I also like to see are their attempts at playing in the same field. Now, remember that QJ with the 800RR and with the 800RC are competing in World Super Sport. They're dead last, but it doesn't matter that they're dead last. They're competing. Okay, and this is in a world where all you have to do is compete and you win. I hate to say it, but this really is a participation trophy. It's one of those types of things where it's better to get into a fight and lose than to not fight at all. And that's what they're doing. And I got a lot of respect for them in that respect. So in saying that, you know, we've got QJ to look out for if they ever get to the States, which I think that they're working on. CF's already here. You have Voge, I'm just going to say Voge, Zontes, Cove, whatever how you say that, and ZXJC that are also at some point going to make landfall in the United States. They're already starting to get into European markets, though. And look, good on them, because here pretty soon, those are going to be some motorcycles to look out for. So hopefully I can get a leg over on one of the CFs here very soon. If they're going to be cooperative, we'll see. Armac saying it's a new wave of bikes for affordables. Yes, absolutely. Armac saying Skidsy exhaust is 4 days out on the CF Moto. Very cool. And that's the thing with an exhaust, they make decent power. So getting into like different topics for upcoming videos that aren't ride alongs. So we'll get to the ride alongs. Like I say, those are going to kind of come on their own. One of the upcoming videos that I was going to put together is a little bit more in depth on the 636. What are the next modifications to come with it? Because you'd think I'd pretty much be done with it by now. And I'm kind of not. I've got one and only gripe left on that bike. And the one and only complaint that I have is the quick shifter. Now, the beauty is if I have a complaint about a quick shifter, all I got to do is turn it off. And then it's just a normal motorcycle. But it comes with a quick shifter. And so I want to have that technology working, right? The bike came with it. I want to have the ability to use it. Every once in a while, that quick shifter will have a failure to shift. And it's kind of a weird thing. But it reminds me of a very similar issue that I had with my Z900 RS. Now, if you guys don't remember that bike, it did not have a quick shifter, but I did have an issue with that bike missing shifts. And one of the reasons for that is on Kawasaki's, for whatever reason, if you think of like the shift linkage as it sticks out of the side of the bike, where the linkage is for the shifter, they can kind of have a habit of flexing that shaft, and that can cause some deflection. And that deflection, it's not messing up the gear going into gear. What it's doing is it's screwing with the gear selector sensor, or the gear position sensor. And so if you put a brace around the front of that, it'll inhibit a whole lot of movement. It'll stop a lot of that, and it'll keep it from moving around, and it allows the quick shifter to work as it's supposed to. There is another component that I may do. I may just put a whole different sensor on that bike. I reached out to Two Wheel Dyno Works, and they turned me on to a component that's basically a plug-and-play replacement for the stock system. So I'm pretty sure between those two components, we should be sitting pretty. But again, it's just something to look at as a as a potential upgrade for that bike. But I'm telling you all of that to kind of set up a point here. The idea with the 636 initially was just to have a bike for the channel, and the 636 would have gone through its life cycle. And then it would have been moved on for the next motorcycle. And the problem that I'm running into, I don't want to get rid of the 636. The 636 was probably going to make it into the beginning of next year, and then I would be looking at potentially getting, something else like an R9 or maybe the new KTM. And, making some headway with those bikes and, seeing what that was like. But, man, the more I'm riding the 636, the more I'm liking it. And that is kind of saying a lot, especially when you consider where I came from with that bike and where I started out with that bike versus where we are now. And I was riding it today, and I got to say, guys, to get better than the 636 from a feel standpoint, I don't know that, I'm sure you can, but I don't know what better would or could feel like. I love the power delivery of that bike. I love that it rips to 14,500 RPM. I love that it does all the neat things that it does and retains that four-cylinder, just screamer type of personality. And what's interesting is because it's, at least for the United States anyway, it's the only middleweight, true old school middleweight that has retained its old school charm. And has been evolved. Okay, so yes, you do have the CBR 600. 2013 is the last time that bike was given any kind of a facelift or revised. GSXR 600 and 750, the last time those bikes were revised was 2011. We're getting really long in the tooth on those. And there is no Yamaha save for the R9. The R6 is gone. arguably the best of the breed when it came to the middleweight 600 class bikes. Although the 636 would definitely have something to say about that. I guess the point is this. The question, I suppose, is would I move away from my 636 for a KTM or an R9 or a well, the Panigale is not even in the conversation because it's too much money. Ain't gonna happen. So, in looking at the rest of the field, I've got nowhere to go for a middleweight because let's break down the bikes. The R9, when are they going to release them? The Yamaha is having all kinds of problems getting that bike out into the world right now. When the 2026 R9, if the 2026 R9 ever makes it to the party, I don't know. We probably will see the KTM, the RCR 990 hit dealerships before R9s do. Not to mention, since we're talking about the R9, I have had in the conversations that I've talked to, in the conversations where I've talked to folks that have ridden the R9 or that have owned the R9 or that currently own the R9. So I've been able to have some dialogue with a few folks, and I want to make sure I say this the right way because I can say it and have it be they're not really altogether happy with them. They're not unhappy, right? But what I'm hearing is that it's just a little like it leaves you wanting, I guess, is the best way that I can describe the way that it's been described to me. There's a lack of sex appeal that comes to how that engine makes power. There's a lack of excitement, sense of occasion that comes with it. Now, I don't know any of this stuff for a fact. I've never ridden one, and it's baking my brain that I haven't done it or haven't had an opportunity to ride one. But I have ridden the XSR 900, which is in essence the same bike, right? Same engine, same state of tune, even a little bit more aggressively geared, by the way. And as much as I liked riding that bike, it wasn't really a motorcycle that, I mean, listen, it accelerated harder than I thought that it would, but it was doing CP3 stuff, right? Like it's strong as hell, better bottom end torque than my GSXR 1000. If we're talking way low in the RPM range, but I don't ride bikes there. My whole existence is focused on the right-hand side of the tach, right? So I understand the value of that engine and that power production in that area of the tach. That works for a lot of dudes, and I get that. I love you for it. And for those guys, this bike is an amazing machine. For hell, for even me. But the fact what I'm getting to is, for the people that I've talked to, it flattens out, and this does make sense because it would act just like the XSR 900, in that it kind of flattens out on the top third of the tach. And this is why you hear a lot of guys bouncing these things off of the rev limiter. Anyway, I guess where I'm going with this is, or the point of all this is, where do I go from here? You know, like the R9, well, the R9, again, we can talk about this thing till we're all blue in the face. The issue is that it's kind of expensive though, too. I get it. It's $12,500, but the problem is that there's a $1,500 like energy surcharge or something like that they're now tacking onto this thing. It's a $14,000 plus TTNL, not including freight and prep. Okay, just hold that number in your head, $14,000. The KTM base model is $14,000, but you're going to spend $1,000 on the technology suite, right? That's $15,000. Okay, $15,000. The Panigale is another $2,000 above that. We're not even going to get into that. My 636, man, it's only $11,500. That's it. And I put a set of tires on it. Let's say that I do a little doodad and gadgetry with the quick shifter. Okay, call it, what, $12,500 at that point? it's still a lot less expensive, and it does everything that I want a middleweight to do. It has the right sound, it has the right acceleration, it has the right feel, it has the right everything, the ergonomics. Where do I start? Where do I stop with this thing? So for me, a middleweight isn't about total horsepower, because if you want something faster, and listen, at the numbers that these bikes are selling for, just go buy a leader bike. Seriously. Because if you're buying a middleweight and you want to buy the fastest of the slow bikes, which is a terrible way to put this, but just think of it from the point of view of wants to go fast guy and from leader bike guy, I guess, if you're into that, you buy the bike that feels the best, you buy the bike that is the most fun. And unfortunately, sometimes when something is technically better, it's objectively worse. And, or I should say, subjectively worse. And so, anyway, that's where I am with the 636. What would it take? And this is kind of where that standalone video, and this is why I use the live show. It gives me an opportunity to like work with you guys and kind of talk through some things before I make a video. So this is like the pre-video sometimes, but it's like, what would it take for me to move away from the 636, right? And the problem is that these are bikes that either exist, but you can't get your hands on. R9, really do like that red and white R9, but probably not there. But R9, KTM's too expensive. There aren't any other middleweights. But here you go. Bikes that would get me away from that motorcycle don't exist. A perfect example of that. It would take Triumph making another honest to goodness Daytona, build it off of the 765, give it 135 horsepower, and put that out into the world. It would be a bike like that would maybe stir me away from my 636. Another bike that would have a hell of a run at my pocketbook, but I don't know if we are ever going to see this, would be a revised GSXR 750. I mean, but it would have to have quick shifter from the factory, TFT screen. Yeah, it really would. Just bring it into the normal today standard. But it would need to be a revised GSXR 750. I don't want to see the 150 horsepower. It's not making that much. It's more like 135, 137 horsepower. It needs to be a legit 140, 145, right? It needs to be out of the factory, making 125 to 128 to the rear tire, which is where my 636 is now, by the way. See what I mean? And with pipe and tune, it needs to see a legit 135, right? 140 even. That's where that bike needs to be to get me away from my 636, because it's going to take more power to get a bike that is probably already going to feel really good. It's going to take that in the GSXR 750 to get me away from the 636, the way that it sits now. The performance envelope is going to have to be significantly different. And I just don't see Suzuki doing that. I mean, put me down as first on the list to get one if they decide to do it. But damn, y'all. I mean, look, Kawasaki, say what you will about the brand, has done a hell of a good job with the 636 as it sits. Yeah, it's kind of built to a price point. And yeah, you do need to do some stuff to it once you get your hands on it. But it's already so inexpensive and it offers up so much in terms of riding experience that, unfortunately, it takes a fantasy motorcycle to get me to even consider moving away from it. So there's that. Let me check in with you guys. Let's see. Armac saying, Skids, when you get new sport bikes, and honestly, Skid saying, honestly, the 600 class, it always felt the best for me, seating position wise. Absolutely. Armac saying, you could wait for the CF Moto 750 SS. Man, I don't know that I could. The thing is I like the 750 SS. I just don't know I don't know when it's going to land, number one. And number two, Look a little bit more aspirational when it comes to bikes that I'll actually drop coin on. But hey, listen, that bike could hit and it could be super cheap and it would be pretty good for the channel, I would think. Skid saying, I don't know, I have 2 bikes now that I truly love. I think I just need to go to the occasional demos, or better yet, go to the bike rental scene and get my fill that way. That's a good way to do it. Yeah, Turo app. There are motorcycle rental services that you can be a part of, and you can rent bikes. Try them out. And speaking of demos, there is a demo day I will be taking part in for Suzuki on the 8th of November at Stubbs. So check that out if you guys get a chance, if you are in the Houston, Texas area. Skid saying, if I were buying, it would be a middleweight sport naked, more than likely. I really like what I'm seeing from the Hornet 750. Hornet 750 is a good bike. It really is. The Hornet 750, when I did the riding review on that thing, one of the takeaways that I had with it was, I mean, it really is like riding an 80 horsepower dirt bike everywhere. I had a ball with that bike. And saying, yep, Twisted Road. There's another one too. There's a few of them floating around out there. Skid saying, yeah, different motorcycle riding apps. Yeah, lots of guys up in DFW rent out their bikes. I thought about doing that down here. It's just, it can be a little bit of a headache. Skid saying, B could consider renting if he was looking to put out content on a specific bike. I've thought about that. Let me tell you something. I would be a player if somebody had an R9 and just said, look, you rent it, take it for a day or two. Not going to wail on the thing. I just would love to get my hands on an R9 and ride it just so I can speak to that bike from somebody who has thrown a leg over it. But golly, look, the problem with the R9 for me, I keep bringing up the R9. The R9 is the Daytona that Triumph didn't make. And that to me is part of the reason why I like the idea of the R9 so much. It's just that you can't, there's still too much MT09 DNA in that, in the R9. It doesn't have ram air, and you can say, well, you don't have to have ram air. And you kind of do. It needs to be force fed. And the other thing is, it's such a good engine and it's so reliable, and it's just everything about it is great. But being really good and reliable isn't exciting. And I don't know, but you know what? I could be talking clean out of my ass, and it could be one of the most fun motorcycles you could ever dream of to ride. Great suspension, great brakes, good front end feel, which is a big thing for me. Big into the front end feel. I know some guys like it to be a little bit more numb. I do like to feel, and that's one of the really good things about the 636. Anyway, I would love to be able to speak on that bike. I whenever they show up, and they seem to be a fairly guarded asset too when they do. What with so many people still waiting on their bikes. So, Armac saying, I'm really thinking hard to save for a Buell Hammerhead. Actually, I thought about that bike too. Skid saying, the 1190 SX from Buell, it's a sport naked variant. It's a good bike. MV Agusta F3 would be an absolute blast. 3-cylinder monster. Yeah. Yeah. Well, QJ owns them now, so who knows? Skid saying, I was thinking Honda could drop the Rebel 300 because it sucks. Then have a 500 and a Rebel 750 with the parallel twin. That new P twin on the 750 sounds good. It sounds really good. I mean, it sounds good, and it's snappy too. And that bike, here's the funny thing about that engine, that in that configuration, the 750 P2, it encourages revving it. It really does. It's the polar opposite to the 776 and the GSX-8R or the GSX-8S or the other damn thing. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. The V-Strom. The funny thing about it is that motor loves life below 8,000 RPM, and it's almost like the Hornet wakes up at about 7,000 RPM. It's a fun bike to ride. Armac saying, waiting on the 500 Voom, but haven't seen any word about US getting it. I don't know if we're ever going to get that bike, and it sucks because it's such a neat looking motorcycle. Skids, yeah, the F3 does have 150 horsepower. It's 800 cc if memory serves me correctly. And it is, by all accounts, a hell of a bike. Skid saying Rebel 750 make an amazing middleweight cruiser. I tell you what, say what you will about the metric cruisers, but look, the Rebel 1100 with the DCT, I really liked that bike. And it's the first DCT bike that I ever rode. Oh, and by the way, that video is scaring the hell out of 100,000 views right now. And it is done exceptionally well globally. And it just speaks to just how good that bike is and how well received that type of motorcycle is. A lot of things to like about the Rebel platform. What I do like the most about it is that motorcycle is not a Me Too bike. It's a parallel twin. It's got a bobber style, but it's very much, a stylized version of any cruiser, right? So I kind of like that. And it's got its own flavor. It's got its own place. And I ain't kidding when I tell you this. I mean, as a commuter, shoot, that bike would be a hell of a commuter bike. I think from the factory, it's making like 83 or 85 horsepower and about the same in terms of torque. It's actually pretty torquey. Let me get a beverage real quick. So, I mean, it's in the right place in terms of making horsepower, and they run great. That's the other thing is that it's a Honda, so it's going to be good there. And I haven't checked on stats either, but I'll tell you a bike that I really liked lately. A lot of times I'll do a post ride review or we'll talk about bikes that I've done riding reviews on. The NC 750X that I did the riding review on, man, let me tell you something about these DCT bikes. That thing is, I liked it in the Rebel. It had a place in the Goldwing. It had a good place in the Africa Twin. But to me anyway, where it really found a home was in that NC 750. That bike, as a commuter, holy cow, that thing. So, and this is something that I was really trying to convey. Like when I ride a sorted out sport bike, like my 636, GSX-R 1000, the SP2, the R1, these are motorcycles that are built for purpose, right? And they are exceptionally good at what they do. And when I ride bikes like that in a way that suits their design parameter, it is so much fun. In the same way that I have the same kind of fun for a cruiser, like when I rode the Street Glide or when I rode the Indian Challenger. Cruising down the highway, parking that thing at about 85 miles an hour and just soaking up road, cracking that throttle, feeling that instant hit of torque. It is built for that exact purpose. It's a cool feeling, right? Because you're on a machine that is literally as good as it could possibly be, given the technology that you have to be exactly what it is. That's the NC 750 as a commuter. You get the sense that you are literally riding the absolute ultimate in commuter and in economy and in practicality. believe it or not, that is really cool. It's like being around a master at his craft. And that's something that I pick up on. It's a big deal for me. So I like that kind of stuff. Skid saying, time to get another Rebel video, perhaps the standard 1100 with a clutch. Might be. Skid saying, love the shirt. Thank you very much. This is part of a run that actually was a set of rejects. I don't know if you can tell, the Tribe logo is off to this side, and this is supposed to be open. Anyway, they work out great for workout shirts. But yeah, I got a shipment of shirts that were just all completely jacked up. So yeah, you go to wear it and it's like Tribe. It's a little bit crooked. But thank you. Oh, Armac said, oh yeah, he found RC Cherry Cola at the store. Nice. The RC Cherry Cola hits hard. Love me some RC. Which reminds me, I got to go to the store here pretty soon. Shoot. That's going to be next week. But that is what is going on in the world of like the bikes that I've been looking to try to, do some ride reviews with. Unfortunately, I just cannot get my hands on an R9. And outside of a couple of, I've actually had some back and forth with about 4 people on R9s. I can't find anybody that just says, oh my God, I absolutely love this bike. I'm never getting rid of it. It's better than I thought it was going to be. Nobody is saying that. Maybe they came into it with a different set of expectations. I couldn't tell you, but that's kind of where I'm at with that. RC Cherry Cola. Yeah, RC Cherry Cola is really good. But as far as upcoming bikes, look, I almost want to stay like, I don't want to talk out of turn. We do have EICMA coming up in 2 weeks. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. I will have an audience with the local rep for Suzuki in 2 weeks also. So I'm looking forward to grilling him as far as when are we going to get the GSX-R 1000. That is, here, and I'm going to say this too, man. I don't know if it's, I don't know, is it me just hollering out sour grapes or what, but am I all that excited about the new GSX-R 1000? I got to really have to have a coming to Jesus talk with myself on that, because how do I put this? Okay, so my X-Star bike, my GSX-R 1000, is the exact bike that I had always wanted. It's literally that bike. And as lively as that thing can be, it is the most fun motorcycle to ride as long as you're cool with the power output of a liter bike. And that level of power doesn't spook you, which it probably should, all of us. But once you get acclimed to things, then, things that used to scare you kind of don't. What would get me away from that bike, right? I mean, holy cow. That's a big question. I don't know that you'd really be able to. But the liter class of bikes is so expensive now, and they're so overpowered. Once you de-restrict them, they really can be a handful. I think that the level of rider aids that the new GSX-R 1000 has, it's becoming more on par with the likes of CBR 1000 and R1, assuming we even see R1s this coming year. I know we go, you know what I mean? They're making so few of them, but ZX10R, there's all of these bikes have got to have sophisticated rider aids now, just because of how powerful and how just crazy fast they can be, especially when they're de-restricted. But holy cow, are they a lot of fun. Love R1s though. Tell you what, at the dealership right now, that R1 is still there. And I have a feeling that bike may end up floor planning hard. If I were to get a bike for the channel, and if I could pick that thing up for a song, I don't know what all is tied up in it, but I would love to get an R1 for the channel. I don't want another middleweight. I do, but I don't. Look, if Suzuki ever did something with the GSXR 750, I would have to get one. But the heart wants what it wants, right? And I just am head over heels in love with R1s right now. So I guess it's whatever shows up first. And look, if the 636 surpasses the 750 as far as my favorite middleweight, maybe it does. And keep in mind, I've got nearly 50,000 miles worth of experience on a GSXR 750. It's cool to revisit that. But man, I can tell you this: if my Gixxer 750 handled as well as my 636, I don't know that I would have ever gotten rid of it. Skids, as I sip on my Diet Coke. Understood. Armag say Missouri's having some nice weather right now. I can tell you that South Texas is having some storms right now. Skids saying, my first time on an R1, I understood ludicrous speed. Oh, yeah. Here's the thing about the R1. This is why I like them so much, and this is why it pains me that they don't make like a base model R1 with, just BPF forks, a regular, BPF style, whatever the standard Gixxer has, rear shock. What kills me about that bike is that it is from if you are sensitive to NVH, like noise, vibration, harshness. If you're sensitive to motorcycles that are buzzy, a lot of people get turned off by 4-cylinder bikes, leader bikes especially, because they can get buzzy on the freeway. The R1 doesn't do that. It's not able to do that. The R1 going down the highway, it feels like you're riding a parallel twin. So because of the firing order. And so, and it's crazy. You don't feel the vibrations in your feet the way that you do on a regular 4-cylinder. You feel them more in your hand like you would like on any parallel twin or a V twin. And one of the first weird takeaways is when I rode the R1, I was like, holy shit, this feels a lot like I'm riding the Pan Am, the Harley Davidson Pan America, with how it was translating the pulses through the handlebars. It was a faint, like it was kind of like a weird correlation, like it was working in concert, like a memory of one thing is like, oh, okay, that's similar. But it was so different from what a normal inline 4 would be. Okay. So that's kind of the way of thinking about it. And I gotta say, I mean, just the noise of the thing. So I don't know, man. It could work out like this. I may make a play for the R1 that's at the shop. And if I do, it's going to basically get a different set of fairings, a different exhaust, the paint will be changed on the tank. I really don't want the Yamaha blue. I would rather have like a red and white variant, something like that, with either white or black wheels, maybe go red and white with white wheels, full M4, a tune, and just have a bike that is like, that would be the retirement bike. That'd be like, all right, dude, I'm going to build this 19 R1. It's going to have this crazy sound. It's going to be easy to ride. It's going to have all of this stuff. And that's going to be the bike, like the last sport bike that I'm probably going to buy, because I'll have this fleet of bikes that I can just go out, take to track days or do whatever. And so it's kind of like that for me right now with that bike. Let me look at something real quick. Got a little bit of time on our hands here. Let me see something. Bear with me just a second, guys. Hold, please. Let me do this. Share screen. Share screen. Here. All right. So this K1600 is probably what I'll be riding here pretty soon. I don't know if you guys can see that. But this is currently in inventory. I've ridden, I mean, I can go through this whole list, but I've ridden the V4 1100, the Tuono. That bike, when you want to talk about laying down torque, holy crap, that thing is aggressive. It feels like a tuned and piped and bored out, whatever, road glide, the way it puts down torque. It says, bam, 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 bam. I mean, it is just hammering out torque. It's crazy how that thing puts down power. Shocked me. I was surprised how much torque that bike made. Anyway, so the K1600 is the one that I'm going to try to ride. That's this thing that looks like a spaceship. One bike I'll tell you I will not be riding is the R18 Classic. That bike does not fit me at all. I understand that, you know, some folks, that bike, they lit, you know, it's a real thing going down the road. I don't know. Here's the other K16 that's in inventory. I don't know, maybe I'll ride the white one. But yeah, it's crazy. You can see, let me zoom in on this. These things are crazy because what you're seeing, it's kind of funny. What you're seeing it won't compute. But that is an inline 6, and you can see the 6 on the side of the engine. It's a trick. It's a really pretty thing. But you can see the 6 on the side of that engine. It's not a 4-cylinder. It's not a laid over 4. That's an inline 6. 1.6 liter. So I don't know. It'll probably be, I don't know. Will it be the white one? We'll see. But I do want to throw a leg over one of these bikes. I have been told they are amazing. Let's see. Let me go back. Bear with me just a second, guys. So these are just some of the bikes that are currently in used inventory. A couple of these you may have already seen. There's that CBR 600. Oof, lots of nice bikes. Anyway, let me get back to that K16. Here we go. So yeah, it'll be one of these, and certainly looking forward to it. But there's a lot of different bikes in inventory that I want to get that I want to get out on the road for sure. Yeah, it'll probably be I don't know which one it'll be. Whichever one we grab the keys to first. The white looks a lot better on video, so we'll probably go with the white one. Let's see what else is out in inventory right now. Let me share with you guys real quick. Don't forget, if you see anything in inventory you like, let me know. Get onto that website, get a hold of the guys, and have them shoot you a quote. Let them know that you came from my show, and they will give you a deal. Let's see if I can find anything. Here's a bike. This is driving me bananas. I'm going to show you two bikes that are driving me nuts right now. Okay. This is the Hayabusa that I rode. Oh, wait. You can't see the pricing on it. Bear with me. Hold, please. Hold, please. Okay, so this 23 Hayabusa, it is killing me every time I walk past this bike. I freaking loved riding this bike very much. The fact that nobody's bought that thing is killing me. And then this 23 GSX S1000, it's got a full Yoshi on it. The guy that owns that bike is a smaller, older dude, like in his mid 60s, mid 70s. I don't know. Anyway, he traded it in on a GSXR 1000. He's out there mixing it up. That's a really well put together bike. And then we're getting into some of these other, we have others. There's that XSR. So yeah, there's definitely some bikes to look at in inventory. Tell you what, you talk about a good looking bike. If anybody is in the market for an R7, there's a 60th anniversary 22 R7 in inventory, low mileage. It's got like 1,200 miles, 1,300 miles on it, something like that. Anyway, it is flawless. Beautiful bike. And then we've got the R1, which is still in inventory. So, but yeah, those are some of the bikes that you may have seen on the channel. We've got a storm blowing through right now too. Skid's asking, you do a ride review on the Fury yet? No, I haven't. So let me show you that one. That one is still in inventory. I think that one's still in inventory. Hold on. Let me check and see if that one, didn't we pass that one up? I think that one is still in inventory. There, yep, there it is. Still in inventory. Interesting thing. The guys that ride these bikes love them. It's really kind of interesting. I've never ridden one, but apparently there is a group of folks that are rather enthusiastic about their Furies. Yeah, no, listen, the 60th anniversary demands a little bit more money, but the guys that get into them love them. But we shall see. I'm always having fun on whatever I ride. So yes, if I'm on a bike, I'm just happy to be here. But with that, guys, listen, I got to go ahead and wrap it up. This storm's starting to come through, and I got to make sure the door's shut all the way, or else the shop gets flooded. But with that, guys, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for hanging out. Skid saying on a Fury, I'd get a chop fender, clean up the rear a little bit. Yeah, I mean, look, it would be a good looking bike. They are a good looking bike. But I do got to get going, guys. So listen, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. But with that, hope to catch y'all on the next one. Y'all take it easy. Oh yeah, one more thing. If you're in Houston on the 8th, go by Stubbs. I'll be over there at the demo day for Suzuki. Okay, now we're done.